I'm Jack Rosner.
And I'm Jonah Wimbish.
And this is 400 years of history in 10 and a half minutes.
Thank God! America was expected to fail. So, many of these explorers actually failed to find what they were trying to find because, it was usually God, glory, and gold. But they never really found, they usually found glory and God, but never found gold. And what they do is, God means they would try and convert Native Americans to Christians, which worked. But anyways, all these guys pretty much failed, but discovered some different things instead. Like, all of them pretty much, they didn't really even discover anything. They just kind of stuck a flag in the ground, and they were like, this is ours. One of these mini explorers was Coronado. He landed here in modern-day Texas. So, he was looking for the 7 cities of gold. All he found was the Grand Canyon. I mean, no big deal. Grand Canyon, Colorado, no big deal. So, you guys have all the rhyme. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 in a boat, like that one. Just kidding, it was a lot bigger. And he actually had 3. He had the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. But he landed, he discovered America. Anyways, he landed here, right here. This, my friend, is the Bahamas. And the Bahamas is actually this. So, you have your different Bahama islands. He, when he got there, discovered a native race of people and called them the Indians because he thought he had sailed all the way to India, but not just to America. Another one of these explorers, his name was Ponce de Leon. He sailed through many islands to reach his final destination, Hispaniola.
Roanoke was a failed colony. After a lack of supplies, Native Americans came to attack because everyone was weak. This completely obliterated the rest of Roanoke. Jamestown was nearly a failed colony, but finally succeeded after a marriage bringing a treaty between the Indians and them. The Indians taught them multiple survival lessons and was able to thrive after that. The Boston Massacre was just another day of rioting for the citizens about taxes. Then someone went a little bit over the line and shots began firing. This led to the Boston Tea Party. It's very easy for a colony to fail. There's many ways it could fail. For example, like Roanoke, lack of supplies, or like Jamestown, it had a bad location.
So, why did this all start? Well, we have 2 main reasons. One being Boston Massacre, where shots were fired, people got mad, that kind of stuff. Then, in consequence of the Boston Massacre, the Bostonians were unhappy, and therefore they went to the British ships and dumped all the tea over the side. These are the people who started America.
The Stamp Act is the British taxing all legal documents in the colonies. There also were consequences if you couldn't pay it. Like, for example, you could go to jail or even get beheaded. This eventually led to the American Revolution.
So, the Northwest Ordinance. What was it? The Northwest Ordinance was the ordinance in which created the Northwest Territory, which was the first ever civilized territory of America. This was arguably the most important legislative bill passed during the development of America.
The Louisiana Purchase originated from Spain, and we took it for about $5 million. Not a single shot was fired when taking this land. They practically gave it to us after them having issues in other places as well.
So, our next topic is mountain men. Mountain men, they explored all of this. They basically went up there and said, okay, we will go up there, we will explore, we will adventure, we will live out in the outdoors, and live with and like the Native Americans as well as like civilized people. So anyways, they had something called rendezvous. Rendezvous was where many mountain men came, meet up, went to trade, they'd tell stories. It was really just kind of a time where mountain men could see other people, because for a long time they were by themselves, isolated. So, Mountain men, they came here, they explored, they caught beaver in traps like this. So what you would do is squeeze this part here to activate the trap, and you'd pull open these, and you'd put this down and lock it into place, and then when a beaver came, snap, you caught yourself a beaver.
The Indian Removal Act was an act that moved all the Indians that were from the east to the west so that we could settle in the east. We continued to conquer westward, and after running into the Indians over and over, and we kept moving them, we finally decided that it was time to get rid of them. We continued to conquer westward, and after running into the Indians over and over, and we kept moving them, we finally decided that it was time to get rid of them. This began a massive war between the Indians and us. Famous tribes, for example, the Crow, fought but soon lost. The only Indians that were to survive were the ones in deserted lands who weren't able to survive that well.
So there were 4 main trails, and we're going to tell you about each of them. Next, we have the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail was the longest of the overland routes used in the westward expansion of the United States. There was also the Santa Fe Trail. The Santa Fe Trail was established by William Becknell. He was the trader who wanted to travel to Santa Fe with goods. He believed that the new settlers of New Mexico would trade due to lack of goods. Turns out he was right. Our 4th and final trail was the California Trail. The California Trail was the main route to California. It branched off from the Oregon Trail west of Fort Hall, going southwest to present-day Nevada, and down along the Humboldt River to the Sierra Nevadas.
The Texas Independence War was between the Texas colonists and Mexico. This war was mainly for the Rio Grande. Texas eventually became a part of the United States, and we got a border that was from the Rio Grande. This war eventually led to Americans trying to get into Mexico so that we can get their good supplies that they had.
So, at one point in time, there was this big war over this place called Texas. It's over here-ish. It's somewhere in the United States. Anyways, this big war was called the Mexican-American War. What happened was, we, Americans, wanted Texas, which was then part of Mexico. Where we are standing, this is where I am standing right now, was Mexico. But we said we want it. So we began crossing Mexico's border and illegally immigrating over there.
And Sequinto? Hold on, let me think of it. Hold on.
So there were 3 major battles. So if you haven't even heard of the Mexican-American War, you may have heard of these major battles.
Anything written on your hand?
So, during this Mexican-American War, there were 3 main battles. San Jacinto, Goliad, and the Alamo. And the war ended in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Oregon country is a disputed land between Canada, British, and America. There are mainly fur trappers there because of the great fur trapping that was going on with beaver pelts. Oregon country is right there. It's about there-ish. Looked retarded. Oregon country is an area that mainly fur trappers went to because of beaver pelts being so popular in those days for mainly hats. The British preferred to call this Columbian territory because of unknown reasons. Cut out the last.
So, in 1849, there's this big thing called the California Gold Rush. Guys who discovered the gold actually didn't make a penny off of this gold. These men were John Sutter and John... So, 1848 was when 2 guys, John Sutter and James Marshall, discovered gold. But neither of them actually made a penny off of this gold. So John Sutter's goal was to become a renowned agriculturalist, sell his goods, his food, stuff like that. And so he had, and then James Marshall ran a sawmill. But so one day they were out working on James Marshall's sawmill, and a guy reaches in the river and pulls out a rock about this big, gold nugget that big, just right out of the river. So when John Sutter discovered all this gold. He was trying to keep it a secret. Hush, hush. Nobody knew about it except for him and James Marshall. But, you know, as it is, the rumor spread like nothing. I mean, it was so fast, town to town. And so 1849, everybody was coming to California. Free gold. This was the American dream. 49ers just kept piling in. Dozens and dozens of people kept piling in until became a scarcity of gold in the rivers. So when that happened, these miners would go and work for major companies. This was the end of the California Gold Rush.